everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas.
I'm Heidi Henry.
And I'm Murri Briel.
Coming to you from the edge of the Great Red Divide.
So today, guys, we are going to talk about the Squad.
The Squad.
The Squad.
You know, I picture cheerleaders when we talk about the Squad, not congresswomen.
Right. Well, but here's something. Squad is sort of this generation's posse.
That's true.
And then gang or group, well, I don't know what it was back in my day. But, yeah, it's my boys, 16, 14,
They hang out with their
and
squad.
10. Yeah, they talk about the Squad. They have a squad. They have a video game squad.
And my kids are a little older,
squad.
so they have a posse.
See, yeah, so the Squad, which I'm impressed that whoever came up with that term came up with a fairly trendy and term. That was pretty good. So we'd like to talk a little bit about our friends, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley,
Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry, I'm terrible with names, but they're from New York, Massachusetts, Minnesota, and Michigan.
So if you've been in a box and haven't been on social media and haven't seen what's happened, our fearless so-called ruler of the universe made some very derogatory comments
and we are talking about Orange Julius, our current president.
Cheeto Caligula. I don't know. Can we come up? I refuse to use
Usually I
his
call
name.
him the Orange Caligula because if you know anything about Roman history, it really fits. So he made a very big race baiting tweet the other day. Total race bait. Now that he doesn't have Barack Obama to scare the boogeymen up, he now takes women of color, and I think I told you, Murri, when we were talking, getting ready for the show, these are women. He hates strong women. They scare the mess out of him. He hates the fact that they're not white, and he hates the fact that they call him on the carpet for being a racist, misogynist, homophobic, Islamophobic pig.
I think that there's something else there. I think that he uses them as, of course, he's racist and a total jerk and hates women. Everything you said is 100% true. But I think that there's a strategy there because he knows that attacking anyone who is liberal in any way appeals to his base, particularly liberal colored people or liberal women. They all appeal. His base loves that.
Nothing is scarier to his base
than an educated, intelligent woman of color.
That's empowered.
Yeah.
And elected by a mandate. Oh, terrifying. Some will call them, he'll call them horrible things like communists and tell them to go back to
Now,
their
the
country.
communist thing is interesting because what happened is it wasn't. You know, Donald Trump is so used to saying absolutely horrible things and getting away with it. Getting away with absolutely everything. There isn't anything he can't get away with. He did not expect the type of pushback that he got on this. He said Roy Moore was a great guy. Yeah, child molester, a great guy. You know, I mean, there's...
Murri, not from his own party. There was one man that stood up to him, and that would have been Will Hurd from the longest border with Mexico in Texas, a man of color who said, hey, you know what? That's not right. That's it. There was like 9 other people that kind of sort of got on his case, but there's over 200 congressmen that said nothing, or, you know, elected officials that said nothing.
Or like Lindsey Graham turned the argument into being not about them going back to where they came from, but about it being them communists. I believe the quote was, they're communists.
Yeah.
They hate Israel. They hate America. They accuse anybody who likes Israel of doing it for the Benjamins.
Well, here's the thing with Lindsey Graham. Number one, I want to know what Trump has on him to make him flip-flop the way he did from hating the race baiting Donald Trump to loving him and supporting his race baiting. So when I look at those comments, the boogeyman has always been, you know, the Red Scourge, you know, always been the
Communists.
But look who Trump is in bed with every damn day is Putin. And you can't get more I want to be communist again than Putin. You know, I mean, seriously. So when Lindsey Graham talks about hating Israel, well, here's the thing about hating Israel, Omar had gotten after Israel's government, which is really far right, for their
and has become more far right over time, much more,
and very empowered by this president for being vicious.
The entire world has become empowered by this president to become more right.
So Omar called Israel on the carpet, not the people of Israel, just their government, and said, you know what, you don't have to be so vicious. You can tone down the rhetoric, and you can act like a member of the world instead of an isolated little, what do I want to call it?
Pocket?
Little pocket. And it's not the people of Israel, it's your leadership. So call me a communist for calling them out too, because really, they don't have to be so vicious. Right? And nobody's giving me any Benjamins.
Right? Benjamin's here. If you want to, feel free to donate. We'd love that. That would be awesome. Thank you. Please. But I don't really want to focus on what he said and what the GOP members did or didn't do, because that's not what's important. What's important is looking at those 4 women who are part of the squad.
Yeah.
And looking at it from a different ideology, and then looking at the whole freshman class, and then looking at the Democrats who are who have been in longer.
So, but I wanted to talk to you, Murri. Most of those women were elected by mandate, so they had a huge win, each one of them. And not only did they have a huge win, but they had a huge win without PAC money. They had a huge win on donations from everyday people in their squad, because the squad is not just those 4 women, it's all the people that elected them, it's everybody who supports their ideology, it's everybody who says somebody needs to stand up to Orange Caligula.
And that's where I believe Nancy Pelosi made the mistake. This is the mistake. I don't know why she made the mistake, but it was in saying they had 4 votes. There's only 4 of them. She's dismissing the populace because she's so used to being in a bubble, in the world of legislation, in the world of that yes, she's absolutely right, though. They only had 4. They don't have a following. And what she meant was they don't have a congressional following. They don't have people voting with them, etc. And, and it has to work. You have to get the votes or it's not going to happen. So in that respect, she's right. But it double edges because I think it takes away the validity of everyone who voted for them, their constituents. And that's what we've lost. So how do we...
Well, and the thing is that these are women that are tenacious, and they're women by and large that have come from little because they're very young. So to get forward in life, they've had to be tenacious and outspoken. As a person who is tenacious and outspoken myself, I find that an admirable quality. Add to it that they are all 4 better educated than I am. Go team, go squad. So I think that they're dynamic, and Nancy Pelosi's right. I mean, it's important to work together as
because if you can't get the votes, you can't make anything happen.
Right.
But Heidi, you were completely right when you talked about the money. Okay. You mentioned money real briefly, and I want to tap into that.
Okay.
So one of the reasons I think people often say that Nancy and Chuck and Dan Lipinski and all of the Dems who've been around for a while that do take large quantities of PAC money, it's that you can't make there's this myth that you can't make things happen unless you have the money, and the only way you're going to get the money is to get institutional support.
And that's their squad.
and that was how it was. Mm-hmm. We didn't have social media. We didn't have the internet 20 years ago. We didn't have it 20 years ago. Yeah, we barely had it 20 years ago.
Barely.
So, it wasn't what it is today. People didn't donate the way that they do today. The grassroots has caught on like wildfire. Somebody will be happy to give $10 this month, $10 next month. Yeah. The ease of recurring payments instead of writing a check, and it's all just so much easier that our voices are getting heard more with that. And
we feel like that $10 gives us a voice, because for so long we have been lost in the wilderness of big money donations, so that we don't have we don't feel like we have a voice in government. And if anything, these 4 women are bringing government back to the people.
And here's why. I was real curious to see, I know that there's been criticisms of the freshman class not raising money, not making fundraising calls. So we kind of did a comparison of those in the freshman class.
Office,
yeah.
And both of us hated phone begging. Hello, it's me.
Yeah.
Send me money.
That's why. It's one,
hard.
I don't want to be a politician, but 2, I could never, because I can't raise money. I'm just going to say that.
I would love
That's why when I ask you to donate, I'm not kidding, because I'm really bad at that. So
We're really bad for asking for money.
we suck at that.
Yeah.
Seriously. Anybody's good at that and you want to do it for us, we would love that. That would be so nice.
I asked people. I even hired people to raise money for me, and it
yeah,
didn't go
no.
well. Yeah.
So, let's just run through the squad real quick. Okay, AOC has raised almost $2 million over the last 6 months. So this goes from the election cycle starting January 1st
I gave her a little.
until June 30th. And the filings had to be in by the 15th. Ilhan has raised almost $1 million. Tlaib has raised the least.
Yeah.
She has only raised about $400,000.
And you know what? She's one of my favorites of the 4. I think she's amazing. So.
And here's the thing with all of them, it is a negligible amount. We're talking so incredibly minuscule. Like Ilhan, she had $900,000. She raised basically
She raised
$888. She took basically $5,000 total
right.
of that from
PACs.
From PACs.
We're talking in most cases less than 10% is PAC money. And so when we think about PAC money, everybody thinks about Citizens United, but it can also be Planned Parenthood and
personal PAC, laborers, unions,
it can be
teaching.
Emily's List.
Yeah, it could be any number of organizations, or from another candidate. Another candidate could have given a donation, which happens. So now we're just to look at this. Then we take a look at someone like Dan Lipinski, who 25% of his money came from PACs.
Yeah.
Sherry Bustos, she raised $1 million. 500,000 came from PACs. Half of her money comes from PACs. Nancy Pelosi raised $2.6 million, which is awesome. And only 500,000 came from PACs. So that was kind of impressive. Yeah. But the point is, Mike Quigley, 300,000 he's raised, and half of that came from PACs.
Right.
So if you look at the new class of Katie Porter, same situation. All of hers comes from individual donations. Yeah. So if we look at this, we can see that, all right, yeah, these guys do raise money, but they're not outraising these freshmen. I mean, our establishment, Bill Foster's raised 500,000, Mike Quigley 300,000, where Lauren Underwood, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, all the squad, Katie Porter, they have all outraised, with the exception of Nancy and Ty Cherry. So you have to look at this and say, okay, your argument that you have to have money in order to win is true. Yeah. But where that money comes from is not. So as we were saying, we are able to donate so much more easily. More people are aware, more people are participating. They're donating to people they feel passionate about. That I think that ideology of it has to come from the only place you're going to get the money you need is from big business, corporations, PACs, and that's not true.
But the beauty of that is it returns the elective process back to the people instead of to corporate America. Because the problem with corporate America being the primary donor is you're beholden to them, or you're not supposed to
or
be.
their interests.
Yeah, or their interests.
So, insurance, a big insurance.
So during the ACA, when we were trying to do the Affordable Care Act, the insurance industry spent on politicians nearly $1 trillion. Nearly $1 trillion to make it an insurance plan instead of universal health care. So we have to understand that that money made a difference in several campaigns during that time, and still does to this day. I mean, that's a lot of money. So understanding where your money comes from and financing campaigns is financing a politician. And we joke about buying a politician, buying a congressman,
sorry, Sherry Bustos, my deepest apologies for this.
I've sent Sherry money too.
Really?
Yeah, I like her. She does a heck of a boot camp, let me tell you.
Yes, she's great,
Yeah.
but
and I did Breast Belt Rising with her too, which is now Dan Biss has. So awesome structure, awesome teaching, and for a kindergarten level politician like me, invaluable resource. So I learned quite a bit from those two people.
so the types of PACs that say, World Energy PAC, Trucking Political Action Committee, Concrete Association, laborers. Although the one that I thought was interesting was BSFN, Burlington Northern Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite a large donation from Burlington Northern Santa Fe. So that's what Heidi was saying is, if Burlington Northern gives you $500,000.
Well, but Burlington Northern, ask anybody who lives in Ottawa or Seneca how they're dealing with the trains going through.
Or Plainfield.
Because it's frac sand out here. It's just frac sand. And it ties up, it closes our streets out here, and it's terrible.
So if you don't think that there won't be some sort of quid pro quo, some sort of assistance on projects, because she raised $1.5 million and half $5 million or 500,000 of that came from one organization.
I still like her.
Oh, but what I'm saying is that's the difference, and I think, without realizing that you don't need that money, you don't have to be beholden, and I think that scares some folks who've been around for a long time.
It's going to help us revisit the Citizens United.
Oh my goodness, as these young freshmen continue to move forward in Congress, they're going to bring it up. They're going to work hard on changing
and I think that's what scares the Republican Party more than anything.
And I think the second part of the squad and why those folks who've been around for a long time are having such a hard time with it is it's cultural. Not cultural, it's age. I'm thinking age and...
These young people are the future of this country, and I think of young David Hogg, who's was a Parkland survivor, and his voice, his youthful voice, ringing out in defense of safe gun legislation. These are the young people, and he's not elected to office; he's going to college this year. But these young people are the ones that are going to make the policies that are going to change the world. And
they're the ones who are going to be beholden to their constituents, not special
they're very
interests.
connected to the people who elected them.
Yes. And the people who elected them, who've donated, who've worked for them, they feel a sense of responsibility for them as well.
Right.
And that's what we're missing. That's what happens, I think, when you're in Washington for so long.
Right.
And you aren't with yes, they come back and campaign, and yes, they go to town halls, and yes, they do this. But it's not the same as it is when you're there.
It's so personal when you're running a grassroots campaign. It is so personal. It's so touchy-feely, high touch, high results.
Different.
Very different than a finance campaign. And, I ran a very grassroots campaign, so did Murri. And we were in the trenches, pulling people up with us as much as we could. And these women have succeeded where we didn't make it through. They succeeded. And now they're reaching back to bring forward the people that they represent. They really care about them.
And that's going to change. That's going to make a shift all across the country. We're going to see that more and more in different races, especially as some of the older Democrats retire and don't come back.
And I want to just touch on something here, Murri. When they talk about progressivism or liberalism or socialism, we're talking about socialized medicine and social programs, not socialism. There's a big difference here. And every time your road is plowed, that's an example of social programming, right? Something that's done for everyone's benefit. By calling them communist, which is totally a misnomer, in making progressivism sound bad, progressivism and liberalism is looking forward, planning for the future. We can't survive living in the past. We won't be able to. There's things that are from my young past. I remember when I was a child that DDT was sprayed for mosquitoes at least 2 nights a week.
Oh, absolutely.
And the truck would drive by, and my mom would shut all the windows. If it weren't for liberals and progressives, we'd still be spraying DDTs. And you know what? We wouldn't have bald eagles anymore because they were dying at a rapid rate. Their eggs were unable to hatch. And I want you to think about that small little detail when you think about progressivism or liberalism. It's thinking forward. It's not trying to be a socialist. It's not trying to take government and control it. It's trying to return government to the people, which is the intention of this country when it was founded.
And it goes back to the myth that, that's why people wanted to elect Donald Trump. That's why, because he's a successful businessman. People are under the assumption that the government is supposed to be run like a business. It is not. Those two are diametrically opposed.
We have a melting pot of people, and I think when we single out women of color, women, and young people, and we single them out as not being part of us, of our collective, we do a disservice to all of us. My grandmother's name was Sylvig. She was Sylvig. My other grandmother's name was Frederica. Those are not common names. And when they came over here, they didn't fit in at first. They weren't citizens. But then they became citizens, right? Just like we only have one of those women that naturalized as a toddler, I believe. So the other women were born here. And I want you to know that there's nothing scary about having a strange last name or a strange first name or wearing a head covering. When I served on altar guild when I was 15 in the Episcopal Church, we have altar guild, and I know Murri's not big going to church, but when we had to go and touch the altar and set stuff up, we had to cover our heads with these goofy veils. And that was in the 70s and 80s, so not that long ago. So when you talk about, a hijab being something that's offensive to you, that is so bizarre, because in many Christian denominations, head covering, and Amish is probably the most common thought of, is a very common thing. I mean, in fact, it's demanded upon you as part of your faith. So don't be scared of somebody's hat. Don't be scared of somebody's hat. That's just ridiculous.
See, when we go back and talk about it, I think about what my dad always used to tell me.
Yeah.
My dad would always tell me, you know what, be careful what you say, because your friend today, your enemy today, is your friend tomorrow. Nothing is permanent. Things can change. It's a state of flux. So when I was in college, I was always interested in political science in high school and college, and I have a minor, excuse me, goodness, in political science. And one of the things that they teach you in political science, in some of the early on political science classes, is that, you never cut your own throat. You don't cut your nose to spite your face. Because here you go, you may be adamantly opposed to a bill that someone is putting forward. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to negotiate something with them, get the worst part of it removed.
Right.
It's not about perfection. It's about good for everybody.
Yes.
And that's how between growing up with my dad, who I've talked about before, and political science, that's what my understanding was. So I've always been more, we can find common ground, we can make things work. And that's where I think that Schumer and Pelosi and Quigley and Foster and all of the House members who've been in for 8 or more years, particularly those that have been in for 10, 12, 15, 20 years, you're looking at that was the ideology that they learned. That's how they learned. And a lot of them are lawyers, which I think is kind of interesting because lawyers don't go for middle ground.
Right.
Lawyers, it's a win.
It's a
win or a
black and white
loss.
issue. Yeah.
I guess they do. Corporate lawyers and divorce attorneys, they try to come up with a middle ground. So I guess it is. But I guess, anything criminal or civil, it's us or them type of situation. And so we all have this mentality, or there's a large portion that have this mentality of, well, we can't be too bad today because tomorrow we're going to have to be buddies to get something done. And there's this hope.
Yeah.
There's this hope that we will pull some of those middle of the road Republicans over to our side if we just stay in the middle. And that's not the case. As you said, the squad was elected by mandate. Yeah. They were, and they were progressive from the beginning.
They never hid their progressivism under a bushel.
No, not at all.
Never have.
and that's the difference, is they're more in touch with the temperature of the country, I think, than some of the more old. Because if you're a politician, you get tired. I mean, yes, you come home and you campaign and you go to stuff and you're nice and outgoing. But at some point, it's okay because you get tired, and you get tired of being in the grocery store and having somebody come up and yell at you, and you can't go out. It happens.
I know.
It happens all the time.
Happened
so, for them to be out in the midst of all the people and listening to the people isn't as easy as it is for the freshmen out there.
And when they go out, if they go out to have a pizza, somebody's going to come and talk to them. You just don't have any privacy, and you don't have any downtime. And that's not a complaint, it's just a reality. And Murri, what I was trying to explain, I think before on my, when I was riffing before, shout out to Ben Jarosky for riffing, because
the head.
Well, it's easy to make a boogeyman, right? It's easy to make a boogeyman. And so bringing this full circle, because I started talking about this at the beginning, Trump made a boogeyman out of Barack Obama before he even decided to run for office as a birther. I mean, he was, kept saying that Obama was born in Kenya, and he stuck with it, even though we knew it was a lie, but he rallied his troops, right? So he had that going into his win. All right. And he didn't win by a mandate. He lost the popular election by almost 3 million votes. But here's the thing you need to understand, is that as we go forward, he's going to continue to make these women the face of his re-election campaign and try to vilify them for representing the districts that elected them. And that's inherently wrong.
And I want to say something that he has tweeted multiple, and I got distracted for a second, multiple times, is the if you don't like it here, go home. And then he changed it to
home.
If you don't like this country, then you can leave if you're not happy in this country. So he's trying to soften it as it goes, because he did not quite expect the backlash that he was going to get. I really was shocked to see as much outrage with everything that happened. This is the line. I don't think there's ever any line. But
there's no line for him. There's no line that he won't cross.
But saying that, no. This is so frustrating, because the fundamental purpose of the founding of this nation was because if we don't, or not the founding, but the history of this nation, if we don't like it, we change it.
Right.
We change it. That's
don't leave.
Everything that we've moved forward in this entire country has been because we've changed it. We don't leave. So listen up, SCROTUS and crew. You're on a serious timeout for saying that if we don't like it, we should leave. No. And everybody who responded, if you don't like it, you can leave. Screw that. We stay, we fight. This is our country too. Just because you're sitting in Pennsylvania Avenue does not mean it's any more yours than it is ours. In fact, it's probably more ours.
Right. It's an inclusive country.
I got really loud there. Sorry.
I
get passionate.
From second grade we learned it's a melting pot. It's a melting pot where all people are created equal, where we each have an equal voice and an equal say in how things are done. And I'm sick and tired of him and his white supremacist base, and that is true, trying to steer the conversation. We are not those people. We are not those people. We are not.
That is a terrifying thought.
What?
That we have been, that we are told from the time we begin, the whole ideology of our country is that your voice counts, your matter, and it doesn't, it hasn't. And I think that is exactly why it scares establishment, it scares businesses, it scares PACs, it scares all of those people, because guess what? If our vote really does matter, if our voice really counts, if our representatives really do what we want and fight for us,
and
we're the unwashed masses, right? Soccer club owner, political consultant, and mom here, horse trainer, we're not really. And it is terrifying that our voices will be heard, acknowledged, and acted upon.
Well, and that's why they need to create this boogeyman. This is why we need to vilify. They needed to vilify these 4 women, not because they're wrong, but because they're women of color, because they're strong, outspoken women that won in a mandate.
I think they're strong, outspoken women. Period.
The
that is what gets him, and the color gets his base.
Oh my gosh! No kidding.
He cannot handle strong women, and then you throw on top of that the fact that these women
wear a hijab. One of them.
Or have any ethnicity beside pasty.
Aren't pasty? Look at this pasty white Norwegian skin. I mean,
I know.
I mean,
I'm not sure. I haven't done my ancestry, and
you know what? And
I'm hesitating because I think that we have too much information, and everything is too accessible, and I don't trust what's happening right now. So I'm just kind of laying low.
And
I don't need my DNA on file anywhere yet.
My husband bought me the kit for Christmas.
My in-laws did too, and I haven't used it.
And do you know how hard it was for me to spit in that? I did not want anybody giving my DNA.
And you can't eat or drink for like an hour. I'm always drinking something. Like, I don't know how that's possible. Anyway, we totally sidetracked. So, what I think we're trying to say is that times are changing, and that the squad was attacked and is being vilified, and they will be created as an enemy going forward, hopefully only from the Republican side, not from our side as well, when our older, longer term Dems start to realize that things really have shifted. I'm hoping that we see that movement going that way.
I think, a little segue here, I think we see that in the presidential race.
If they don't frickin' hold Kellyanne Conway in contempt, I'm sorry. Hi. House. Hi. Okay. You
think they're watching?
No. But if you did, 2, 3, 4 freaking postponements on a vote for denying subpoenas, how about we just go slap the cuffs on her and throw her in jail? Hatch Act Barbie. Sorry.
If you think Kellyanne Conway is ever going to show up.
Right! She's not, and I know. It's because you got to then prove to the judge that you've given them time, blah, blah, blah. At this point, there have been so many that divide subpoenas. Doesn't that, I'm not an attorney, but can't that show a pattern so that when you go in with her defying the subpoena, you can start to immediately
we have jail cells.
Punish them? I don't get it.
In the basement of the House of Representatives and the basement of the Senate. They have a police force that could go bring Barbie in, Kellyanne in, and put her in a little hijack Barbie, and put her in a little cell and make her show up at least. Now, they can't make her answer. That's the thing. It's like you can't make her say anything.
That will definitely be one of our topics coming up soon about how the law is letting us down. Yeah, I know.
Well, I've told Murri over and over again, we're finding all the holes in our democracy.
Absolutely. This was great for that.
That these new young freshman congressmen and women are going to have to knit and purl back together because we've got a mess.
Because we were operating, and that's the final note on this for the establishment, which we talked about. You have to be able to to work with each other in good faith. But that's the point. It's gone. That good faith is gone. There is no, when we think about our Constitution, when we think about our laws, it's just words, and no one defies those because there's a punishment, a penalty, and
it's
now we have all
honor
of these leaders
that have exploited
and
every loophole they possibly
not
can.
even just outright defying what is supposed to happen, and we have nothing. There's no consequences for it. There's no action because it wasn't there. We all assume we would be operating in the country's best interest, on our honor. And wow, it's not. So we need to change our tactics. And I think that the squad rocks. I think all you freshmen out there, Congress people, are awesome. We love you. So tune in next Monday for our show. We'll give you some ideas of what's going to be on. Big time out to the entire GOP with the exception of one dude.
Wait. I have to say something about my Congressman, Adam Kinzinger. And God, I hope this gets back to you because you're such a jerk. He released a statement that said, basically, I can't comment every time the president makes a comment. Are you kidding me? You can't call out racism, Adam Kinzinger?
No.
What in the world is wrong with you? Do your damn job.
Well, did you see Liz Cheney? Did you see frickin' Liz Cheney, what she said? Do you know what she said? She said she called them communist baby killers. She said,
for real,
communist baby killers.
Outrageous.
Yeah. And she even tweeted it. So anyway, point is, we can't play nice anymore. No. The sandbox is too full. We need to fight and fight back, and we love our squad. So follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on social media at Heartland Mamas.
Tune in, download,
donate. Share, please. Share with your friends, share with your family. Let everybody know that we're out here, and we will see you soon.
Take care. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.